Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and another video. So today we are going to be running through the June reading wrap up. Now I am filming this a little bit earlier than I tend to do. This is the only day that I'm gonna have time to film this. And that does mean that I'm filming this on the 29th of June and I'm currently halfway-ish through one of the books, but I'm still going to include it confident that I'm going to get it finished by the end of June. I think there's about 10 books we need to discuss today, so it's going to be a long one. Enjoy. So the first book that I picked up was also my most anticipated read for the month, my favorite read of the month, which was Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This was her, I want to say, surprise-ish drop, purely because it didn't really follow the normal kind of rollout that she tends to do with her book releases. So this is actually the sequel to Not in Love, which was a book that she released last year. The main characters in that one are Eli and Maya. Sorry, Maya's the sister. Eli's the brother. I can't remember the love interest. I should remember that, but I don't. That's just my bad. This one focuses on his younger sister, Maya. There is an age gap between them. There's about like 12 to 15 years, and she has always had a little bit of crush on his best friend Connor, and they've always kind of had this sort of tension going on. And in this one, it's set in beautiful Italy, and Eli's getting married and all the friends are over there, and it's just like a lot of like forced proximity and all of this stuff between Maya and Connor. I did really quite enjoy it. I won't lie, I did find the fact that they kept bringing up the age gap to be a little bit annoying, which is probably a good thing because normally when there is this sort of age gap between a man and a woman, usually the man doesn't give a damn and it's like the female and her friends that are more concerned about the age gap, whereas this was the other way. Maya didn't care and Connor was the one that was like, no, I can't, like there's this big age gap, you need to be dating someone your own age. A lot of tension, a lot of build up, but I did really enjoy it. I did rate it 4.5 stars, so definitely not one of my favorites, but I thought it was like a really, really sweet book. I loved it. I was also a little bit disturbed because in this book, a volcano erupts. Literally around the time I was reading this book and I got to the part where the volcano erupts, the actual volcano in Italy erupted. And I was like, what the fuck? So that was a little concerning. Overall, still a great book. Really enjoyed it. And it was my favorite read of the month. And then the next book I picked up was actually an ebook that I read on my Kobo that I borrowed, which was The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell. This is the sequel to The Family Upstairs, and this just basically literally picks up right where that one ended. In this book, our main character, Libby, that she's actually sold the house and she's given the money to her mother and her uncle, some of the profits, because it went for like millions of dollars, so she doesn't need it. And then basically one of the bodies that had been left to decompose in the house, somebody removed it in the previous book and dumped it in the River Thames. And someone found the bag of bones. Now, the police are involved. They're trying to track down what happened to this woman and they're trying to work out her story, what actually happened in that house, where the kids are. Also at the same time, Libby's father, they're trying to track him down and run into him. And then we also have the mother, who was called Lydia, but that's not her actual name. She is then also having to deal with the death of her first husband. And then we also get the perspective of the first husband's current wife and keeping up to date with what's going on with that and how they met and all of that stuff. And to be honest, I rated it 3 stars. I just didn't really feel like it was necessary, which is really funny because Lisa Jewell wrote in the acknowledgements that she doesn't like to do sequels, but this was like the one sequel that she really wanted to write and she was really still drawn to the characters. I don't feel like it added anything to the story or that we needed. I don't think anyone deserved to find out what happened to Birdie. I thought she was a terrible person. I guess it was a way to kind of better wrap up what actually happened in that house, and now that the police are actually involved in the murders and all of that stuff, it was a neater way to kind of like tie it all up, but it was all just a little bit too convenient and didn't really rate it. I feel like I could have just read The Family Upstairs and just been content with that because this didn't really add anything that I felt like I needed. It was easy to kind of guess plot twists and stuff. I think I've just read too many Lisa Jewell books in the last couple of months that I need a little break because I've kind of worked out what she does and it makes it obvious for me. So I need to like find someone else to read, I think. And then the third book I picked up was really exciting because it was I've said this a couple times. I've started a book club at work, and this next book that I picked up was our first book club read, which was The Inmate by Frida McFadden. This is also my first Frida McFadden novel. This is a thriller novel, and we basically focus on Brooke Sullivan, who's our main character. 10 years ago, her high school boyfriend attempted to kill her via strangling her with her necklace. She was only able to identify him based off the cologne he was wearing, because that's all she could smell. She never saw the person strangling her. The story's told in present day and past day of kind of the lead up to that night, and then what actually happened that night, because Brooke is now a registered nurse and she needs to get a job. Her parents have just died. She's come back home because she's inherited the house and she needs a job, and the only place that will hire her is the prison where Shane has been locked up, and her testimony is what got him convicted guilty. And she's terrified to run into him. She's given 3 rules at this prison, which she breaks in the first day. The rules are being treat all prisoners with respect. She actually does that one. Rule number 2, never reveal any personal information. She does that straight away by telling someone she's not married. 3, never ever become too friendly with the inmates. She stuffs that up as well. Like, she's so lovely to everybody. And she obviously has some run-ins with Shane. Everyone basically finds out that she has a son. She also doesn't want everybody to know that the son is actually Shane's. The entire book, she flip-flops on whether Shane was actually the person who attempted to murder her or not. She then also suspects her best friend Tim, because he starts to also wear the same cologne that Shane was wearing that night. This book was bonkers. I gave it 3 stars. Brooke was honestly one of the most infuriatingly stupid main characters I've read in a very, very long time. She flip-flopped so easily on who the murderer was. I was sus on Tim from the get-go. She was way too keen to hop into bed with men she think may have been possibly the person who tried to kill her. It was just, she was really stupid and it was frustrating, and I was able to guess like some of the plot points. But look, overall 3-star read. I would consider reading the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden, but the rest of them I'm on the fence about. It was just a very weird one to read about, and I do wish that more of the book was set in the prison and messed up things happened to her in the prison. The ending was just way too sensationalized for it to be legitimate. It was a wild ride, I will give it that. And then book 4 that I picked up was The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore. This is the most recent one that she has come out with this year, and we do focus on 2 new characters, which is Archer and Iris. Archer is like a world-renowned chef in Paris. I don't know if renowned chef, but he's basically a head chef in Paris. He's trying to get the Michelin stars, and he basically finds out that he has a 5-year-old daughter, and he only found out because the mother of said daughter passed away, and in her will it was basically said that Archer was going to have to be the main caregiver. So he has to leave Paris to come to the small town of Dream Harbor in America to meet. He's really struggling. He ends up taking a job at being the head chef at the local pancake house, and he tries to like change up the recipes, and the townspeople absolutely hate it because he's working such long hours there. He needs a nanny, so in steps Iris, who's basically conned to be his nanny because she needs a job. She then gets to save money on rent, so she moves in, and it's basically just about them kind of falling for one another but having to try and not proceed with their feelings because they have Olive they need to care for, who's like grieving her mother, trying to come to terms with the fact that she has a dad that she hasn't known about for 5 years. Her world's been completely turned upside down. And it was really sweet. It was really cute. There was just something about it that I just couldn't rate it more than 3 stars, essentially. I read a lot of like single dad nanny tropes in the last 6 to 12 months, and I do just think some of them were done better, and I enjoyed them a little bit better. But yeah, that's all I can really say about this one. It was nice to focus on characters who weren't part of the core group of best friends that we've had so far in this series. I'm really enjoying being a part of this series. But yeah, there's not really much I wanted to say about this one. And then book 5 that I read in the month of June was The Iron Vow by Julie Kagawa. This is the 3rd and final book in the Iron Fae Evenfall trilogy, and this one focused on Megan, who was our main character in the Iron Fae series originally. I was really excited to read this one because obviously when I read the Iron Fae, I was a teenager. Megan was a teenager. In this one, she's now an adult. I'm an adult, so it was really kind of cool to come back and see her perspective and her point of view now that she's grown up. And this one was really cool. So in this book, we are actually in the world of Evenfall. We're meeting the fairies. We're going to go meet the Nightmare King, and he's our big bad villain, and just have an epic, epic conclusion to this book. I rated it 3 stars. I think it was my favorite out of the 3 books. There was a lot less like anger we had to deal with in this one, which was nice. Some things just were a little bit repetitive, but I did find that Megan's narration was the easiest for me to read out of the 3 books. Overall, did really enjoy this whole series. I'm glad that I've picked it up. It just gave such good nostalgic YA fantasy novels from when I was a teenager. So I was really glad to have been brought back into that world to be able to experience it. There's not a whole lot I want to say because like I can't say much without spoiling the series, but everything was wrapped up. I think that they did a really good job and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you're contemplating picking it up, please do. I think it is so worth it. And then book 6 was actually one that was a DNF for me. And that was To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays. This is one of the book series that I do want to read this year. It's like part of like, I think a duology. I got like 30 pages into this book, maybe 30 to 100 pages into this book, and I just DNF'd it. We focus on our main characters, Jason and also another Olive. Jason was the boy next door when they were younger, best friends with her older brother. He ended up having to move away when he was like 15 or something, and they basically lose contact with him. So she like low-key hates him, but then wrote a best-selling novel, which they want to turn into a movie, and they want the male lead to be Jason. And she's horrified, doesn't really want him to be the main lead in her book because it's about him. I flipped right to the epilogue, read that, rolled my eyes through the majority of that epilogue, and then went, I'm done with this. So yeah, I just really hated the characters. I thought they were irritating. I hated the storyline and the premise. It was just really creepy, weird vibes and not anything that I enjoyed or wanted to be a part of. So that is why I DNF'd it, and I have no regrets because I think I would have had a bad time reading that entire book had I kept with it. And book 7 was Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This is my first novel by this author. I haven't picked up her Light Luck series, but it's been kind of on my radar. I adored this book. I did rate it 4 stars. This one was so cute. I loved it. We focus on Elle and also Parker. Elle is a screenwriter and her younger sister asks her to basically house sit for her whilst her place is getting renovations. Her sister is like globe-trotting around the world with her husband whilst pregnant. Elle is a little hesitant to come back to the city just because she used to live there, but she had a bad experience one random night where some really rich bloke basically implied by accident that she was a gold digger, wanted to basically go out and date her, and she got really offended, and it's never left her mind. That man was obviously Parker. He is like a tech billionaire CEO guy, but she just had so much hatred for him for that one little snide remark where they both judged each other. Parker conveniently is the only other neighbor because there's only 2 apartments on this top floor. He convinces her to be his date to all of these events, so they kind of fake date, struggling to write a new movie that she needs to write. So he helps her and takes her to these locations and becomes some sort of like muse and inspiration for her to write her screenplay, whilst they also kind of start to fall for one another. And it was really cute. I did find it like a little annoying, like just how easily she disliked Parker because of the events of like one night where they spoke for a maximum of 30 minutes, if that. They were basically in the stairwell making out after like 5-10 minutes. Yeah, I'm glad that they could like work their stuff out. She was a very proud woman who I think needed to like calm down at times, but overall I did really love it. I did enjoy it. Like I said, rated it 4 stars, and it has made me really intrigued to pick up the Light Lark series now by Alex. Then book 8 was another ebook that I read, which was I Found You by Lisa Jewell. Actually, I just lied to you guys. It was not an ebook. It was actually an audiobook, and it's the first audiobook that I have read this year. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, I think I really need to like just stop with audiobooks. I don't really enjoy them. I put this audiobook on whilst I was working. I couldn't tell you what happened in that first hour and a half of this audiobook because I just paid more attention to what I was doing at work. Like I said before, I definitely need to take a break from Lisa Jewell because this is like the 5th book of hers I think I've read this year, and it was really easy to guess stuff because she writes things pretty much the same in each book, so you can kind of guess the plot twist if you've read a couple because she does the exact same thing. It's all mirrored. So I don't remember our main characters, but we basically once again focus on 3 people. I think it's Alice. She is a single mother of like 3 children, and one day she just meets this random man, Frank, who does not remember anything about who he is, where he is, or why he's there. And she stupidly takes him in and lets this strange man sleep in her house with her children. And she takes it upon herself to try and help him figure out who he is and why he's lost his memory. And then we have flashbacks to, I think it was 1993, where we have a family of 4, so a mum and dad and 2 kids, a son and a daughter. And then we have a 3rd teenager who lives in the seaside town that they're currently visiting, which is also the seaside town where Alice and Frank are. And it kind of explains the events of what happened and how this all relates to Frank. And then we also, in the present day, are in London, where we have a single woman, not a single woman, Lily, who's just gotten married after knowing her husband for less than a year. I'm talking, I think they knew each other maybe a couple months at this point. He's gone missing and she cannot find him. It all links up. It was very easy to go, I think that this kid is this adult and that kid's that adult. And I did enjoy the audiobook the further along it got. I must say, listening to sexual assault scenes via audiobook, really unpleasant, especially when you're driving and you can't like fast forward it. I found it really predictable. But yeah, like I said, 3-star read. It's hard to rate it because it's a different experience reading books versus listening to books. Again, it was a 3-star read. And it's also part of the reason why I am going to take a break from her books, just because, like I said, it was predictable. It was easy to guess. I wasn't overly surprised by very many aspects of this book. It was like well written and I was engaged, but like I said, I kind of guessed what was happening and that took like a little bit of the thrill and excitement out of it. And then book 9 was The Dark Shores by Danielle L. Jensen. Now, this is one of the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. I rated this one 3 stars. This one was 360 pages and it took me 6 days to read because I just didn't really care, nor was I engaged. We're focusing on our main characters, Terriana and Marcus. Terriana is basically a sailor on a merchant ship, and we also then have Marcus, who's the leader of the 37th, which is one of the army's legions. They're all numbered. The Empire learns that there's this whole other group of countries that they didn't know existed. They basically just embark on this mission to capture everyone on the merchant ships and torture them to the point of death to get the information on how to get to the Dark Shores. And Terriana willingly gives up the information and she has to help Marcus go there. That is the story, essentially. There's nothing else really to say. I just didn't care about Terriana or Marcus. It all felt very repetitive for me. I didn't really like them as characters. I didn't find the story engaging because we're just on a ship. We're still on a ship. There's now land. We're now being nice to the new people on the land. We're now fighting another war. I didn't have a good time with it and I didn't care for it as such. I'm not going to be picking up the second book in this series. It is just a duology. I wouldn't recommend it or anything like that. It also doesn't encourage me to pick up any other books by this author. That's all I really want to say about it. And then the 10th and final book that I have read or am reading in the month of June is The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan, which is the first book in the Crane Chronicles. It is the current trilogy by Rick Riordan that I am reading. I am 246 pages into this book. It's about 514 pages. It's not part of the Percy Jackson world, which is nice for me. And I also think the reason why I'm enjoying it more, we focus on our main characters, Carter and Sadie. Their father has just blown up the Rosetta Stone. He's then had a god go into his body. He's now locked in like a coffin or sarcophagus and he's gone missing, and the evil god Set has him because the god that's in his father's in their father's body, I should say, is Osiris. Then we also have the god Horus and the god Isis, who have also, when the Rosetta Stone exploded, these gods have kind of gone into their bodies, but they're not in like full control. I'm loving the Egyptian aspect of this story and all the gods. This book's also written slightly different to the Percy Jackson ones in the purpose of Sadie and Carter actually like verbally narrating the book to you, so you're not like in their head as events are going. It's like, okay, Carter here now on the microphone talking to you, and they've got like snide remarks that they make to one another. I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. It's really cute, like not cute, but it's cool, it's fun. They found out that they're basically like magicians and can wield magic. They're descended from 2 very strong bloodlines from their mother and father, which basically makes them prime candidates because they're literally referred to as the blood of the pharaohs. So they're both really good prime candidates for the gods to embody them. I'm enjoying it. I think it's going to be about 3.5 stars. So, but overall I am enjoying it and I'm glad that I've picked it up, and I know that this is only book 1, but I definitely do think it's my favorite Rick Riordan series that I've picked up so far. It's really interesting to have the Egyptian mythology in here, and to see like the Egyptian gods, to have different gods we're focusing on. So yeah, overall I am really enjoying this one, and it's probably going to be about 3.5-ish stars as well. Alrighty guys, they are the 10 books that we read in the month of June. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in a couple weeks for another one. Bye guys.